This is an intellectual property case study.
My Salah Mat.
My name is Kamal. I'm the founder of My Salah Mat, which is the world's first interactive prayer mat. My Salah Mat has designed and developed and patented an interactive prayer mat that helps children and adults learn how to pray. I realized that I had something special, and back in 2017, I applied for a patent. And at that stage, I also applied for a trademark and registered the design. I didn't realize how important it was to register it internationally until 2019, when we faced issues with counterfeit products. And at that stage, I looked at registering the design and the trademark in lots of different countries. I discovered the infringements by searching online, finding them on marketplaces, and what was happening at that time was that people were buying the counterfeit products and coming to us and saying, oh, this is broke or this is not working. And when we looked into it, we found that it's actually not our product, it's a counterfeit product. When we started telling people that be careful, there are counterfeits out there, we started getting the community emailing us, messaging us and saying, oh, I think this is a counterfeit. Can you look into this? I think that's a counterfeit. And that's been really super helpful for us to combat counterfeits. The impact the counterfeits have had on My Salah Mat and continue to have, unfortunately, people, when they buy a counterfeit, they think it's an original product. And when that product, because the counterfeit product is made with poor quality materials, they're not looking to help people, they're looking to make a profit. And when customers buy those counterfeit products and it breaks on them, they will go to Trustpilot and write a really bad review on us. And they were like, this broke within 2 days. And when we then look into it and when we ask them, okay, where did you buy this from? What's your order number? They wouldn't be able to tell us, or they would tell us that they purchased it from a certain platform, and we'd be like, okay, that's not ours. That's a counterfeit product. So reputationally, it's having, it's been really hard to combat that. But if we didn't do that, and if we didn't have IP, we wouldn't have a business today. And it's because of, the strength of our IP that we have, that we're able to combat these counterfeits and we're able to go forward and move forward. Literally, we had to learn everything, but most of these platforms have, forms, and they do have guidelines which you can read to work out how to report those infringing products. You need to have your IP, you need to have your design registration or your trademark in place and the number for that, and you need to be able to explain what the infringement is. And that's what we did. We explained what the infringement is. We filled out the form on these social media platforms and marketplaces. And usually within 24 hours to 48 hours, they would either remove it or tell you that they won't remove it for certain reasons. And it was through really trial and error that we started to work out, okay, this is exactly what they want, because these platforms are super busy. Infringement is a global problem, and they must get even hundreds of thousands of these reports daily. So to be very specific about what that infringement is was really important, and we worked that out, and were able to, and still do, report to these platforms to this day. One of the times we had to use a legal profession, an IP specialist. We found counterfeit products in the Netherlands, and these shops were selling these counterfeit products. We sent them a cease and desist. We told them that these are counterfeit. We showed them that these were counterfeit, but they didn't do anything. They didn't remove it. In fact, they were being, quite aggressive about it. I, at that point, decided that for the first time, we're going to take legal action. So I found an IP specialist lawyer in the Netherlands, but was really, really great and really talked us through that whole legal process. It was the first time that we did it. So the lawyer sent out the cease and desist. They then followed up with phone calls, and it was ongoing for about 8 months. But it wasn't until they sent a summons, which was a summons before court action, that the owners of the shops took it seriously. Fortunately for us at that time, the companies paid our legal fees. They removed the products, they sent the counterfeit products that they had back to us, and they signed an undertaking to say that they will never resell these counterfeit products. that was a real great success story for us. What I've learned from the experience of IP, of registering IP, of reporting counterfeit is the mass of knowledge that I've gathered. We are now able to report on all the different marketplaces that I've never heard of. We're able to report on all the different social media platforms, and we're able to do all of this in-house. What I would say to businesses that think IP is not a priority is it's really important to register your IP, because when you do need your IP, it might be too late. So as a company, if you're an established company, make sure you've got IP registered. If you're starting off as a company, make sure you do give IP some thought, because if you're thinking about it becoming very successful, then you should be thinking about IP. If you're really not thinking about that your product's going to be very successful, then really you shouldn't be doing that business in the first place. You should, you should do something else, because everyone should go into the business of thinking that it's going to be really super successful. So therefore, I definitely need IP.